Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us here for the closing plenary of this momentous 48th annual meeting of the World Economic Forum. It was the American singer Nina Simone, when she was asked about the responsibility of artists, she answered, "The duty of artists is to reflect the times. How can you be an artist and not reflect the times? That is the definition of an artist," she said. Several years before her, in a very different part of the world, in Germany, the playwright Bertolt Brecht had gone even further, as he is considered to have said, "Art is not a mirror to be held up to reality, but it is a hammer with which to shape it." Perhaps these words from these wonderful artists serve to underline, really quite simply, the importance of the arts and culture in our lives and in our societies, why the World Economic Forum has brought artists and the arts and culture into its work for the past 25 years, and why we thought that it would be very special to end this extraordinary annual meeting with artists and with the visions of artists. My name is Nico Daswani. I am the head of arts and culture here at the World Economic Forum, and I have the great privilege of being here in conversation with four friends. I'm lucky to call them friends. These are four extraordinary artists. Several weeks ago, I asked these wonderful artists if they could help usher us out of the annual meeting with some visions in the way that only artists can, in the way that they might remind us of things that maybe we have forgotten, or just simply show an entirely new way of thinking about things. And so I will introduce them very briefly. Lynette Wallworth, sitting right next to me, is from Sydney, Australia. She is an Emmy Award-winning virtual reality documentary filmmaker. Her work has been presented all around the world, and she has this unique ability. I do not know of any other artist who does this specifically, to bring people into immersive environments that really connect them to other cultures, other places, and allow us to see how much of each other we can see reflected in others. Mehdi Ghadyanloo is from Tehran in Iran. He is known for his paintings, for his sculptures, but also perhaps mostly for his incredible murals and public art installations. He has painted gigantic murals, more than 100 gigantic murals all across Tehran, bringing light and color and a whole different way of seeing life in Tehran. He's done this in different parts of the world. He was the first Iranian artist to do so in the United States with a big, beautiful mural in Boston. Xing, dear friend from Shanghai, she is one of China's and as a result the world's most influential opinion leaders. She is a dancer and choreographer. She is the founder of the Xing dance company, and she was until very recently on television on Wednesdays in front of an audience of 250 million people every week, talking about issues of culture, of family, marriage, and issues that allow the society in China to develop the civil society. And then Platon, another good friend, one of the world's foremost photographers. You may be well aware of his photos. In fact, many of you here have probably had your portraits taken by Platon. He's looking at you here in the audience. He has taken photos of numerous heads of states and world leaders. They have been in some of the most influential magazines, from Vanity Fair to New Yorker, dozens of Time magazine covers. He's also the founder of the People's Portfolio, which is a nonprofit organization which uses portraiture and imagery to support and to highlight the work of human rights defenders. It's wonderful to have you all here. We wanted to sit here as a family as we end this meeting. And I wonder if, Platon, maybe you can start us off. I remember a year and a half ago, you came back from the Congo. You were on your way back to New York, but you graced us in Geneva with a stop. You came to our forum office, and you had some incredible stories to share. And I know that you have one in particular that you thought would resonate with this question of visions for a shared future.
Thank you, Nico. Thank you to everyone at the World Economic Forum for having us here. We do feel so welcome, and what an honor it is to be with my extended family. So I would like you to say hello to Sandra. Perhaps we could call up my picture. Here she is. Isn't she beautiful? Look at that face. I took this picture in the Democratic Republic of Congo, where Sandra lives. When she was 16, Sandra was raped. And she was raped with extreme violence. She made it to a local hospital for urgent treatment. She hoped and was treated by a legendary doctor. His name is Dr. Mukwege. He's a hero. He's been nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize 9 times. He treated her successfully, only to find that from the rape she was now HIV positive, and she was also pregnant from the rape. She went on to lose her baby with a miscarriage. Sandra's horrific experience connects her to a new phenomenon, an epidemic of rape as a weapon of warfare. You see, this dark phenomenon is fueled by our consumption of mobile technology and the dark side of the 4th Industrial Revolution. You see, our mobile devices are powered by semi-precious minerals, many of which are mined in regions around the world, just like in the Congo. And so this is a huge problem, and we are all strangely connected to it. They use rape as a way to intimidate society and control them and control valuable territory. But Sandra refuses to be a victim. She refuses to walk the path of victimization, even though she has been victimized. Instead, she chooses to walk a beautiful path of enlightenment. She has become an activist for young women and children who have also suffered this horrific dark force. She sings songs on local radio stations to inspire and uplift courage. And one of her songs has become very, very famous. It's called "My Body Is Not a Weapon." And what she means is she refuses to allow her body to be used to intimidate society. So I asked her to sing it for me, and she did. And I was so moved by her voice and her words that I asked someone if they would transcribe it for me. And with your kind permission, I would like to read it for you today. Here we go. If you look at me, you will see a woman who is smiling, a soul full of joy. And when you meet me on the street, you will never know that my heart is in pieces and my dreams are broken. In my world, I am only average, but to hurt more, no. No. My body is not a weapon. My body is not their weapon. I also have a dream. I want to move on. I also have a dream. I want to change everything. Within me, a small president is hidden, one who would change all inequalities. Within me, a small lawyer is hidden, one who would defend all the oppressed. Perhaps a female doctor. Ah, a soul of joy, a soul that might link the North with the South. But if I don't make it, Mr. Photographer Platon, could you ask someone to change the world for me? Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to believe that empathy begins with our Sandra. If you believe in the power of storytelling, in humanizing statistics and giving voices to the voiceless, then empathy starts here. If you believe in giving emerging leaders around the world an enhanced platform of leadership, then empathy starts here. If you don't believe in using divisive communication to divide us, left versus right, but instead right versus wrong, then empathy starts here. So let's tear down filter bubbles, echo chambers, intolerance, and tribalism, because I would like to believe that empathy starts here. My friends, I made a promise to Sandra, and I promised her that I would ask someone to change the world for her, and that someone had to be me. And as soon as I made that commitment to try and uphold the principles of truth and justice, I have to confess in front of you all that I felt very, very lonely. I felt inadequate. I have no power behind me. I have no corporation or a government. I'm just me, an ordinary citizen who just has a story to tell. Who am I to think I could change the world? But I am on this stage, invited by my friends, and I'm with my friends. And I don't feel alone anymore. I feel I'm part of something beautiful. Dare I say, a new movement of people from all around the world, leaders who are dedicated to changing the state of the world and healing a fractured world. I see friends. I see inspiring leaders. So, friends, let us lead. Let us roll up our sleeves and work together. There is a moral battle raging out there, and we have to do something about it by closing the empathy gap. Let's work together. Let's join hands. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Platon. Thank you, Platon, for this moving story. Xing, before the world knew you as a TV host, you were known very much around the world as a choreographer. And there's one piece in particular that you developed and that you thought would resonate with us here today.
Yes, I would like to. Hello, good afternoon, old and new friends, and so pleasure to be here. Yes, I would like to start with this picture. That was me 10 years ago. It was a wonderful solo performance commissioned by the Venice Biennale. They are commissioned 4 artists around the world under the title, Under the Skin, make a full evening piece. And that moment, I get the commission, but I have no idea what am I going to do with the full evening performance by myself, 50 minutes. Then I back to Shanghai, take my older son to study Chinese traditional calligraphy. While my son learning the calligraphy, I was waiting for 1 hour beside as a mother. And next door, a young girl learning the most ancient instrument of China, guqin, playing. I was just sitting in the middle. Turning on the left side, the girl playing the almost like 3,000 years old the instrument. And next time, my son tried to playing with the brushing, try to learning the calligraphy. And these 2 pictures gave me the inspiration, bingo. That was the Chinese culture in the modern time now. It should be so close to us and slowly fading out because the speed was so fast. Now the young kids of China, even my children, everybody playing the keyboards. How many kids continue learning writing, especially calligraphy? Then I put this idea into this piece. This was the last part of dancing. I was dancing with a big silk black cloud, like a calligraphy writing on the white floor. Actually, perfectly expressed me. Even today, just like Nico introduced, I was the most popular TV host. People call me the Oprah Winfrey of China today. I have a lot of words sharing with my people. That's also, I'm a normal human being. I'm a dancer. I'm been to tough life, friend of me, challenging. Many, many moments I feel vulnerable and speechless, wordless. What am I going to do? Lucky enough, I start my professional life in this planet as a dancer. I can dance, I can move. Even today, when I have no way out with all my personal issue, whatever business issue, I turning head, bring myself to the studio, changing my clothes, I will dance. And the body, the communication for me is most important. And this piece, the movement I choose this picture, perfect for me to always turning around thinking what I'm doing today. Like at the beginning, Nico said, art should be endless, no age. I think that's why artists always thinking what's happening today or tomorrow, not for the whole world, for myself. And this for me as a person, if second time come to the Davos, all the great leaders, their direction and guiding the whole world in the economy and the politics and everybody following. But I'm sure all the great leaders, you have your personal habit turning to art and preference. And also you do have a vulnerable moment. That moment you always listening some music, reading some good book, go to some nice galleries and watching some film to help you to overcome all the issues you're facing it. But for me, I was thinking that, can we slow down a little bit? If this year, the closing section with the 4 artists sitting here, I know the world being affected. But this moment, I think everybody come back to the human being point of view. Let's use the art and culture, influence each other. Can we shake their hands together and looking for the future? And especially, I'm from China. China played a central role in this economic or politics. But for me, as a Chinese citizen, I hope we can slow down a little bit. Back to this dance piece, under the skin, the closest, the furthest, our culture should be remain, to be kept. Thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Jinshin, I just want to follow up. You're talking about a certain kind of, almost a craft of listening and mindfulness, of
Yes.
being in the moment, which of course as a dancer and a choreographer you know all about. But you live in this fast-paced world. You're in front of television cameras all the time. You have to respond to so many conflicting demands. How, you said this was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So how much of that spirit do you feel you're still able to embody today? And how do you do it?
I'm still like on stage, I'm still turning. Only the speed is different, sometimes faster, sometimes slower, but it never stop, like a clock. And everybody know that, a lot of Chinese friends there, they know me, I'm constantly challenging myself. People say, you are constantly challenging Chinese society. I said, no, I'm challenging myself. From the best male dancer of the country, become a best female dancer, and bring the modern dancer to China, and opening a talk show, thank you. And raising 3 innocent children, adopt 3 innocent children, and facing my life, constantly sitting challenging. But I'm not challenging the society. I said how much I can reach for my own life. Just like this energy, this huge 5 meters fabric, without energy, without the determinants, you cannot make such a picture on stage. That's me, my life. Sometimes faster, sometimes slower, but I'm still turning, still, never stop.
Thank you, Jinji. Thank you. I want to bring in Mehdi. Mehdi, I think you're one of the few artists that I know who is able to work with light in the way that you do. It is just so incredible. You have brought to life so many cities around the world with the work that you've done. You're very known for this, but you're equally known for the incredible painting.
Thank you.
For that, and the collectors around the world that you have. And I know that there's one story that touched you very, very recently, and that you wanted to share. Maybe you can tell us a little bit.
Yes, it's my honor to be with you today. I'm gonna talk about my painting that you will see in a couple of seconds. I painted this painting for a very talented, beautiful mind lady from London. And unfortunately, she passed away before I had the chance her to see my work, not she had the chance. And a couple of weeks later, I found that she passed away and she didn't see my painting. And later, while I was thinking, I found that why she commissioned me to paint this painting. Because in the first idea, I wanted to paint these people walking without holding each other's hand. And she insisted that I want this one. And I said, okay, and I didn't realize why. Let me tell you a bit more about empathy and how art can create empathy. In the past, actually, I was shepherd, and then I became farmer, And then I became public artist and did my own share and did my best. And I still think that far away I should go and I should paint lots of more paintings. But I am not president. I am not a mayor. But how I can do my own share, how I can make my society a better place to live. I came to this point that art can evoke empathy. I mean, because of special ability of our mind, everything we see, we will, create the feeling of empathy because of our mirror neurons that we have in our minds. And I thought with this kind of ability and with the use of this ability, I can raise empathy with the people, about the people, with the people that they are not in this situation. For example, with immigrants, with people who are suffering from special kind of cancer. Mm-hmm. And let's think, who are these people? They can be immigrants. They can be, patients that they are hopeful to find a cure for their problem someday. But in a bigger picture, I think all these people are we. We are living in an uncertain world. But I think this picture, and if we can move to the next picture, it shows to us that at least now, with considering all of these pressures and problems above us, but at least we are also hopeful nowadays. And we have powerful, and we are keep walking. And I think in this, art can create empathy, definitely, and it will be powerful, and it will have good impact on our world. Thank you.
Mehdi, I want to ask, because a lot of your work has a little bit of utopia, but a little bit of darkness too. And in a way, you have an ability not to make it completely gloomy, but also not to say that everything is okay, that we're going to have to work at it. Say a little bit more about what it was with the hands. What is it that lady, and how, I think you had told me that there is a little bit about her own personal journey and why she wanted to have these hands holding hands.
Yes, this painting actually was very special for me because of the story, and I'm still thinking about the title of this painting because it's very important for me always, because title gives lots of different layers to your paintings, and maybe Shared Future is a good title for this painting. I was thinking right now. Yeah.
Thank you, Mehdi.
I just like painting and do painting.
Thank you, Mehdi. Thank you. Lynette, you've been here a few times. We've presented here at the forum several of your works. A couple of years ago, you premiered here Collisions, a virtual reality film which has had incredible impact around the world. And this year we're blessed, and I hope many of you here have experienced it in the Portals exhibition just outside, to have the world premiere of a new work, Awavina. And I know you are going to tell us a little bit about it.
I'd like to. So the photograph I want you to look at is this one. This is Hushahu. She's the first woman shaman of the Yawanawa from Brazilian Amazon. She's standing at a bridge. And the bridge is at once a physical structure and it's a symbol of possibility. Because for the Yawanawa, there had never been a woman shaman. No woman was allowed to have the position of spiritual leadership before Hushahu. But she asked the old shaman of the Yawanawa, Tata, if he would train her. And he agreed to risk his spiritual authority in order to break a taboo and allow for change. And the chief of the Yawanawa, Tashka Yawanawa, saw collisions a few years ago and asked me to bring those very contemporary of technologies into the village in order to send out a story. And this was the story. Actually, what they wanted me to film was that old shaman Tata. But Tata passed away during the time we were filming. And the story passed to Hushahu, whose destiny was changed because a leader had the courage to break a tradition that seemed impossible to break. And once he did that, every single role of leadership in the Yawanawa community changed. So now there are women chiefs. And in every village of the Yawanawa, and there are 7 women chiefs, and there are 7 men chiefs. And this was the story the Yawanawa wanted to send out. We took our cameras in there, these technologies that allow us to feel immersively present. And we saw this incredibly, beautifully functioning community. And this bridge that was built, it's an awkward bridge to cross. It takes effort, it's effortful. Every bridge, I have since realized, is a combination of tension and bending. And Tashka started to talk to me about what it's like now with Yawanawa people when those 7 men and women chiefs gather. And he said sometimes if they can't decide, they defer to the women. And they defer to the women because they have come to realize that when the decision is difficult, the women will not posture just to win the argument. They will bend in the direction of the best decision for the people. So about a month after we left filming in the Amazon, I was at another gathering of artists at Captiva Island, Rauschenberg Estate, Robert Rauschenberg's estate, a gathering of artists and scientists. And there a Cherokee woman who I have come to know told me a story that was remarkably similar to the one Tashka, chief of the Yawanawa, had said. She talked about the Iroquois Confederacy that influenced the US Constitution. In 1988, the US Congress acknowledged that the great law of peace of the Iroquois, of the 5 nations, had influenced Benjamin Franklin, clearly a leader of wisdom, who had gone to the old people of his country, the people who'd stayed in one place, the peoples whose structures are flexible because they understand times change and we must change with them. And he built the beginnings of the US Constitution by acknowledging that document. And he pulled many things into that Constitution, including the beginnings that all men are born free and must remain free. But a couple of things he left out. One was the idea of 7 generations decision-making, that leaders must think on behalf of those unborn, how they will live with the things that we decide. But second, he left out that a clan of grandmothers had the right to veto any decision, any law, or any leader who did not act on behalf of the people. So when I look at this bridge and I think of those old peoples, those old cultures, the Yawanawa and the Iroquois, and those others who call me to come and send a message out, they are not asking for our empathy. They are offering the gift of their knowledge. Tata, the shaman who risked everything to train Hushahu, she says at the end of our film, this was a man who survived slavery, and he survived the missionaries. So when he looked in those eyes, he saw that he knew what he knew, that every day he had struggled to maintain the arc of his own destiny. He saw that in Hushahu's eyes. I want to stand on a bridge like that. I don't want to be in a structure anymore that is built halfway. I want to be able to cross that bridge like Hushahu did and meet those on the other side and build something that's strong, not uphold a structure that is weak, that keeps reinforcing one half of the culture. And that's why I love this photo. That's the future I see. I see a lineage of women who should be able to pass across that bridge and meet whoever is on the other side. Thank you.
And I'd like to acknowledge that Chief Tashka and Hushahu are here, sitting here in the front row. Maybe if you will stand so we can acknowledge you. And I know all these stories, but every time you tell them, I'm still amazed and wowed, and I just could listen to them again and again. I have a couple of questions, but I want to just see if you have any responses for each other. You know, things you've heard that connected or that triggered something in your mind.
It's so funny because we're all very different. No two artists are alike, just like no two world leaders are alike. But we all believe in a value system. There's something that links us all. And we all have very unique ways of trying to express that same value system. And that's what's so lovely to hear you all speak. Because at the end of the day, if I close my eyes and tried to sum up if there was a message I could get from everything you said, it would be the same message that I was trying to deliver. So it's very, very inspiring to see how different we are, but we all believe in the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, I will say one thing, what you said about the bridge. I had the great honor to photograph Muhammad Ali once, and it turns out to be his last shoot he ever did. And I said to him, Muhammad, you were the greatest. Teach me to be great. And he whispered in my ear, he said, I have a confession to make. I wasn't as great as I said I was. I said, Muhammad, that's the biggest confession I ever heard in my life. You are the greatest. What on earth do you mean? And he said, I'll tell you what was really great. And it wasn't me, he said. It was that people saw themselves in my story. And then he says to me, as an artist, he says, if you can get people to see themselves in the stories that you put forward, then you have a chance of achieving something great. And that's never you personally. That's something much bigger called bridge building. So when you said that, it made me even think that even Muhammad Ali agrees with us.
Thank you. Anyone else want to respond? Xing?
No, I think when I'm listening to Lynette's beautiful stories, I'm thinking myself, I was completely very purified, just dancing in my life, but somehow doesn't go through. Then I try to see how I can break it, the situation. But I didn't know I'm also very capable in the commercial world. Until the TV business, when I entered, I can tell you a funny story. Every day I'm coming back home, my dear husband opened the door. From my facial expression, he can know I come back from theater or from TV station. When I come back from TV station, I like this. This is okay, no talk. When I come back with a full of smile, middle of the night, he knows I'm coming back from the theater, or dancing or acting, come back full of joy, recharging it. But I think that's a perfect balance me as my life, as an artist, and give me the responsibility. Also, people can say it's a mission. When I talk in the commercial world, talk to the people, not 250 million, 150 million domestic and overseas Chinese watching my shows. Only I can deliver is with my heart. And speaking art of the words is very difficult. That's why I'm much more free when I'm dancing with my fabric. But open my mouth talk is, you are really on the edge of the whatever, danger things, words. But I think my dancer and acting training me, I have a perfect expression. Not only mouth, whole body. I can exchange communication with my people, with my audience. That's make different. But sometimes I'm really struggling. I want to quit TV. I just go back to stage, but impossible. In China, developing modern dance is, we have a very limited audience. Then what am I going to do? Last year, even I'm so busy weekly with my TV show, but I'm still every weekend with my dance company standing on the stage. Friday is my talk show on live with 2,000 audience on live. And next day, I will dancing with my company. Try to tell them I'm a dancer. TV, I can do better, but I'm still a dancer. If I have enough space just dancing, I'll be rather just a dance. But this world is so real. So I think as an artist, I think I cannot make decisions, but I can change something, use my art form. That's like, I can share.
Thanks. This image of a bridge, Lynette, is so needed. It's not a new image, but it is an image that is so needed today. We know this. This is why we have this theme of this meeting. And you were talking about leaders, and I think you have so much humility because you always talk about others as leaders. We talk about you as cultural leaders for a reason. And to close us out here, I'm going to ask each of you, as artists, as individuals, as cultural leaders, what are you going to commit to leaving this annual meeting, going back home? What are you going to do? What are you going to commit to help in creating this shared future? Lynette, I wonder if you'll start.
Well, I think I have been the bridge, now I have to create a bridge. So it's wonderful to have the invitations that I get to go to these very particular communities. But my goal now is to not be the one who has to bring those stories to us, but to make a bridge with the technology so the stories can be made within those communities themselves. So my goal, and we've had discussions here, to try and talk about how we can bring technologies in so that those practices can be left in the communities. And the people who are in those communities can have the advantage I had. I was given abilities and access to technology because I'm a woman working in technology. And a lot of people see that that can be challenging. And the opportunities were not necessarily there for me. And because I've had those opportunities, I want to create them for others, especially for those who I think their voices are not heard. Their voices have so much to tell us. And because I know the path now, I need to make a bridge. That's my plan.
Thank you. Beautiful plan. Mehdi.
Yes. Actually, because I started to work since I was 7 years old, so I thought that I should have something like early retirement. But now, when I'm seeing lots of energy, I mean, you, my brothers and sisters, are doing well. When I saw Platon's project, I was near to cry because I felt that someone else is thinking about the problem that I'm thinking. And I feel it's too early to quit artwork because now we have more power when we unite. And now we know the power of art. We're talking about the problems of the world like gender inequality, yes, and about famine, and about immigration, and about war, and about lots of the problems that now we have in the contemporary world. So someone should show these problems, and someone should exaggerate this kind of problems to think about, to find a positive solution for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mehdi. Xing, back to Shanghai soon. Tell us what you're going to commit to.
Back to Shanghai? immediately facing my 3 teenager kids. I have so many ways to solve my problem on stage, on the business, but with my 3 teenager kids, there's a new lesson as a parent. But no, I think I just follow my heart, continue going on. If this door doesn't open, I open another window. TV, acting, dancing, speaking, or just be a housewife, just be a mother. I just balancing my life, but I'm continuing turning and turning. I will try to control my speed. What I'm appreciating, a culture I come from, China. Chinese really have a special rhythm to breathing. Slow down a little bit. But in this case, as a personal opinion, was too fast. We lost a lot. We're talking about the creativity, innovation. We do have that, but not Chinese creativity, innovation in the suffering period of time because we're so rushing for, I don't know why, slow down a little bit. And I think it's for the sharing and the culture, it's not which culture dominated which culture, it's appreciation. Influence, that's the most healthy circulation in this world. The end of the day is not how much money you make, how much you know about me, how much I know about you. Then I appreciate, I want to be a friend with you. So I think I only can follow my heart, go on different stage and deliver best performance I can do. That's it.
Thank you. Platon, last word.
Well, first I need to spend more time with artists. That's my first thing I'm going to do. You know, as an artist, I have been fascinated with leadership for so long, and I've photographed and had very intimate experiences and discussions with so many leaders, world leaders, governmental leaders, business leaders. So I'm fascinated by power. I have seen strength up close and personal. I have seen seduction. I have seen authority. I've even seen intimidation. I've seen all that. But to me, a great leader, there's a secret ingredient. And I don't always see that. That secret ingredient to be a great leader is something called service. I would love to believe in the idea that if you are a great leader, you are also a servant of the people. Your job is to carry that responsibility with seriousness and commitment. And your job is to empower people's lives in some way. The most magical thing you could ever say are 4 little words: how can I help? That's the sign of a great leader to me. So with that in mind, as an artist, I try to think of myself maybe more as a servant than an artist. And my role is to try and humanize statistics and serve people who would never be privileged to stand on this stage. And through the kind of work that we might do, we can stimulate your minds, make you think differently about this amazing position that you all clearly have, and these incredible talents that you all truly have. And what can we do as leaders? And I know we all say, but I have restrictions, I have limitations, I face adversity. I'm sure you all do. We do. All human beings do. But there's a magic in overcoming that adversity. There's a magic in transcending your own barriers and reaching out because you are compelled to serve other people and empower other people's lives. So obviously, we're all very clever people in this room and very successful people. But the most important thing is we are also all servants in this room. And that's a very humble state of mind. If we can all really focus on that, then message delivered and hopefully understood.
Thank you, Platon. I'd like to invite onto the stage the Davos Festival Chamber Choir, who are going to send us off with a moment of reflection and contemplation. We're delighted to have partnered with the Davos Festival, our local partners here in the city of Davos,